Hi everyone, this is Brian Hayes and welcome to a discussion on fast chord changes made easy for the guitar. Today we're going to focus on just three chords: G major, C major and D major. Now all three chords are played on the first three frets of the guitar. These are the simplest of the chords and normally the first three or so chords that you will learn in any beginner's book on how to play the guitar. Playing good rhythm guitar relies on the player being able to seamlessly change between the various chord shapes up and down the fretboard of the guitar. Today I'm going to introduce you to a concept called stamping the chord shapes on the fretboard. Once you get your mind around this and put it into practice, it will revolutionise your approach to playing chords on the guitar. Fast chord changes will no longer be a problem, and the people you play with will absolutely notice the improvement in your playing as you just fly through the various chord changes effortlessly. Let's start by looking at the three chord shapes we need to master in this tutorial. First of all, the G major chord. Now there are a couple of different ways you can finger G major on the guitar fretboard on the first three frets of the guitar, but I'm going to start with the most common traditional shape of G major, and that is with your third finger on the third fret of the first string of the guitar. That's the note G. Your index finger on the second fret of the fifth string of the guitar. That's the note B. And your second finger on the third fret of the sixth string of the guitar. That's G. So if we play right across the six strings, we have a G, B, D, G, B, and G. The three notes in a G major chord are G, B and D, so we've got an interesting combination of those three notes on the guitar there. Now, when you first start learning the guitar, 99 out of 100 people will play the G chord like this. They will put their finger there, they will take half an hour later and they'll put their finger there, and then about another 3/4 of an hour they'll get their finger up there. Now, we all start like that. However, most students on the guitar never really get away from that concept in their mind. They get quicker at it over time, but you can tell a beginner from a player within half a second when you see how they actually go to grab that G chord. So this is how most people form the G chord. That concept, they might get quicker at it, but it's still this concept of bang, bang, bang. Three separate movements of their fingers, then they play the chord. Now, anyone who really can play the guitar, and who looks very natural when they play, forms that same shape in a different manner, like this. It's just stamped onto the guitar fretboard as the same as if you go to a post office and you're sending a parcel away for Christmas or whatever. You hand the parcel to the staff at the counter of the post office, and they no doubt will have a rubber stamp or some form of stamp, and they will stamp the parcel with the date and the branch of the post office. Or it might be a fragile sticker or airmail sticker. It's all done in a single movement. There's the parcel, bang, airmail sticker. So every bit of context that's required about that message, A-I-R-M-A-I-L, airmail, the date, the location of the post office, it's all done in a single stamp. That's it. Process over. Same when you play a G chord. If you look what I'm doing with my hand there, the three fingers are going on the fretboard at the same time. And you can actually hear the chord as I'm thumping those fingers onto the fretboard. If you listen closely, you can actually hear the G chord. Now that is incredibly different from this. No matter how quick you get at that, it's still a ricochet, clunk, 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 rather than bang, bang, So think of going to the post office, the person behind the counter, bang, stamps whatever information they need to put on your parcel before they send it to the delivery driver in one movement. Bang, all of the information. So all the information you need to play a G major chord on the first 3 frets of the guitar is this. Okay, now if we move to the C major chord, and we'll use the standard 3-finger version of the C major chord. So we have our first finger on the first fret of the second string of the guitar. That's the note C. We have our second finger on the second fret of the 4th string of the guitar. That's the note E. And we have our third finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string of the guitar. That's the note C. So if we strum across, and in this case I'm only going to strum the 5 strings on the guitar, even though E is one of the notes in a C chord. A C major chord is built from C, E and G. E in the bass does not sound good on a C chord. So I'm going to leave the C in the bass of the chord. So we'll have a C, E, G, C and E. And if we strum it, there's the C chord that we've all heard a million times guitar players play all around the world. Now, again, the concept of stamping the shape on the fretboard, if you listen again, you can hear the soft sound there of the C chord. But look what my fingers are doing. I'm not going bang, 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 strum. I'm going bang, strum. It cuts the time down by, a phenomenal percentage. Just watch that again. C. So my idea of playing a C chord is bang. It's not build, build, build. Yes, you're going to have to spend a little bit of time in the build, build, build mode, but you've got to get rid of your trainer wheels as quickly as you possibly can. Otherwise, you'll spend your entire lifetime building chord shapes rather than stamping the end result shape. So we've now got a G shape, a C shape, G, C. The final chord we need to learn is D. Now D major again is probably one of the first chords that you have learnt on the guitar. If you don't know how to play it, the second finger on the second fret of the first string of the guitar, that's F sharp. The third finger on the 3rd fret of the second string of the guitar, that's D, and the index finger, your first finger, on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string of the guitar, that's an A. Now a D major chord is made up of D, F sharp and A. So we've got an A string here and a D string here, the 5th and the 4th string. Again, don't play the open E string. E's not one of the notes in a D chord, and it's just going to sound ugly if you let that string ring on against the D chord. So here you would strum from the 5th string down to the 1st, and again you get a sound that is absolutely synonymous with the guitar. D major played in the open position on the first 3 frets of the guitar. Now, stamping a D chord shape, notice my 3 fingers hit at the same time, and you'll hear the D chord. That's so different to this. Strum. It's not that, it's that. We just bang the shape down on the guitar fretboard and we're away. So we've now got 3 shapes: G major, C major, D major. I want to now take you through an exercise using the metronome that's going to force you to change the way you approach grabbing those chords on the guitar. If I set it at 60 beats a minute, which is very slow, it's 1 beat per second, what we're going to do is we're going to strum 4 G chords, 1 strum per beat, 4 C chords, 1 strum per beat, 4 G chords, 1 strum per beat, and then 4 D. Let's do that again. So 4 on each. G, C, G, D. Now when you get good at that, what I want you to do is then leave the metronome set at 60 beats a minute, but now only strum 2 chords on each of those chord changes. The progression remains G, C, G, D. However, now instead of strumming 4 on each, we're only going to strum 2, like this. 2, 3, 4. So G, C, G, D. And again, G, C, G, D. One more time. G, C, G, D. Okay. Now, I know you're going to have to, stop the video and work on that concept of the shapes just happening like I'm doing there now, not forming the shape slowly. But the final test in the exercise is to again leave your metronome at 60 beats a minute, and now we're going to only strum 1 on each chord. The progression remains G, C, G, D, but now at 60 beats a minute, 1 strum per second, you're required to change chords every second. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, C, G, D. G, C, G, D. G, C, G, D. So get the idea? If you're new to the guitar, that's not easy. That's a target goal to reach. Start just by trying to stamp out your chord shapes, like I'm doing there now. Stamp the chord shapes. And you should be able to hear on your guitar. It'll be faint, but you should be able to hear the notes of the chord as you stamp those chords on your fretboard. Okay, so you start 60 beats a minute, 4 strums per chord. Then leave the metronome the same speed, 2 strums per chord, metronome the same speed, 1 strum per chord. Now, just to finish off and put all that together, if we think of the famous song by Don McLean, American Pie, it was released in the early 1970s and it was an absolute smash hit all around the world. Don McLean was one of the first international artists that I got to see as a kid over here in Australia growing up. And what I remember about Don McLean's concert, he was in Australia just after American Pie was sort of #1 all around the world. But it was the first concert I ever went to where the only person on the stage was the singer guitar player. There was no band. It was just Don McLean with his acoustic guitar, and he entertained the audience for 2 hours, just playing fantastic songs and just basic rhythm guitar. He's, by his own admission, Don McLean is not a great guitar player, but he backed up his vocals admirably with his rhythm guitar on an acoustic guitar and absolutely blew the audience away, including me. And I'll never forget when he sang this song all those years ago. Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. And so on. Now, you'll notice 2 things. One, I'm not a singer and don't claim to be. However, did you notice the chord changes when I was singing American Pie? It's exactly the same chords in the same order as the exercise that we've been working through in this tutorial, only played at a quicker speed. But 2 strums on each, and you've got no time to think about forming the shapes of those, individually forming the shapes of those chords. You've just got to get on with it. American Pie has a couple of other chords other than G, C and D in it, and for those interested, E minor is one of the chords that I played at the end of that chorus, and A7 and D7. But we'll look at more chord shapes in other tutorials. For the moment, I want you to really understand the concept of stamping your chord shapes, not forming them, and putting yourself to the test with a metronome, challenging how quickly you can make the changes. Anyone, if you give them enough time, can play a D chord on a guitar, a C chord and a G chord. But to simply sing and play a song like American Pie, one of the most famous songs in modern times in music, you actually need a pretty high level of skill in chord changes to be able to play that song in time at a reasonable speed. I hope that's been of help to you. As always, keep in touch via my website. That's www.brianhayes.biz, B-I-Z, Z for Zorro. Drop me an email if you have any fundamental questions about playing the guitar, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you're kept updated as I post various videos on the many instruments that I play and teach. Bye for now.